Hello, in this video I'll be talking about the nootropic Aniracetam, and I'll generally be reviewing it as I've been taking it for about 12 days. And Aniracetam is a nootropic, which means cognitive enhancer, and it is from the Aniracetam family, which is widely available on the internet. Here's its structure here. So it's very similar in structure to the more well-known nootropic Aniracetam, except this methoxyphenyl group gets replaced with just an amino group for Aniracetam. And so having this extra load here means that the molecule becomes much more lipophilic, which I think means that it will absorb better, or at least cross the blood-brain barrier better. The primary effects of these Aniracetam drugs in general is increased memory and effects on language. I find that the memory effects of it are noticeable. There are some effects in the way which I can recall what I've done in a day. I can recall things in much greater detail, but also my episodic memory of things in my past, I've been able to recount these in much greater detail than I have before, and even some memories from my childhood have come back and have been a lot more vivid than other times, so that's quite a good effect. I also find it's affected my vocabulary a bit, and just made me a bit more articulate in my choice of words, so that's also another positive effect. And as far as the negative effects go, it's widely purported on the internet that taking the Aniracetam without choline will cause an extremely bad headache, and for some reason I was a bit skeptical of this, so I didn't initially take it with choline, and about 3 days later, actually I think on the second day, I got this really bad, almost like a migraine type headache, and that has not shown its ugly heads after taking choline in the form of lecithin, I think it's pronounced. The other effects I've noticed from it, in terms of side effects, is that I found that in the first few days of taking it, my thinking was a bit sort of hyperbolic, a bit, my mind was sort of being a bit exaggerated in nature. That was a bit of an unusual side effect, but that also went away quickly. And so it definitely does have some positive effects, and the effects there are noticeable, but I'm not sure how useful they really are, or how significant they are, since these drugs are very subtle in their effects, so I'm not sure if it would justify another purchase of it. These drugs also are relatively expensive. This bottle from the eBay seller Sterling Chase was around $36 New Zealand, or so. I think it was 31 US, so it couldn't be 36 New Zealand then. I'm not sure. But this was for 60 pills of 750 milligrams. Now, when I actually weighed the contents of these capsules, they were only 600 milligrams, so that's a bit poor on the seller's part. Most people try Aniracetam as their first Racetam or Racetam, or however it's pronounced, because that's a lot cheaper. However, in New Zealand, where I live, Aniracetam is prescription-only medicine, so importing it carries a risk of having it seized at the border, but I get the impression New Zealand customs are not very good. But the pharmacology of these Aniracetam drugs is not well known. They are thought to work by increasing the activation of acetylcholine and glutamate receptors, glutamate neurons, and glutamate and acetylcholine are important for memory and learning, specifically with glutamate, something known as long-term potentiation, which is one of the theories of memory, and so increasing the activity of these, in theory, may have positive effects on memory, such as certain acetylcholinesterase inhibitors are used to treat Alzheimer's. Piracetam has got a lot of research done, and a lot of studies have shown it to be helpful, and it's even used as prescription medication to treat impaired people, such as senile people. However, Aniracetam does not have as much research into it. It does have a significant amount, though, just not nearly as much as Piracetam. And some of the research has actually found it to be an anxiolytic, which means it reduces anxiety. I find that anxiety being the sporadic thing it is, that I can't say for sure if it's done that or not, but I suspect it might have. So that's a positive thing. So yeah, the other effects I've noticed from it, besides increased memory, both my ability to remember things which I've done in the day, and to recall things from the distant past, that's been increased. It's helped my vocabulary, it's helped me articulate myself a bit better. The downsides to it have been it can cause headaches, it can sort of affect your thinking a bit, but that goes away after a couple of days in terms of thinking in a sort of adverse manner. It synergizes, interestingly, with a couple of things. It synergized with methylphenidate and increased the stimulant effects of it, and that I found to be quite a good synergy. Also synergized in an interesting manner with ethanol. It still allowed the anxiolytic and that sort of effects, which are good, but it it attenuated the effects of your cognition turning to shit, so that's a good effect there. And so yeah, I would rate Aniracetam to be 7 out of 10. It definitely has a positive effect, but the positive effect is very, very mild. You can barely even notice it, but at the same time you can. And so the next nootropic I'll be reviewing is Adrephenol, and I haven't been able to find any videos on it on YouTube reviewing it. I've just been able to find, like, riffraff, saying buy these online and all that other crap, so it'd be good to do the first proper review of it. It's sold on eBay, and it's the prodrug to the more well-known drug modafinil, which is a well-known stimulant, or technically speaking, wakefulness promoting agent, and it's actually the one used on the International Space Station for its crew. So that's going to be quite an interesting substance, and I look forward to testing it out, as it should arrive in the mail in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that video.